Hi everyone, welcome. I'm out here in my backyard, and usually we come out here to check in on my outdoor worm bag, what I call outdoor worm bag version 4. But I'm really curious to see how things down here in my compost barrel are doing. That's why my hands are already a little bit soiled. See, I was rummaging around a little bit over here, and there was another interesting thing. Let me see if they're still hanging out here. Yeah, there was a whole lot of worms just hanging out right below the container too. I was tempted to try to snatch some of them up and bring them up and put them into the bin, but you know, I'm just going to leave it be, let nature take its course. We're really here to check in on the outdoor worm bag, see how it's doing, give it a feeding. It's been, imagine this, 27 days now since we last checked in on it. And it looks like we've got ourselves a black soldier fly larvae over here. I had some stuff sitting out here covering this up, so he must have felt like this was a pretty protected space, so the little guy came up to hang out on the top surface and is probably now just waiting for that opportunity to switch over into a fly and crawl out of that little husk. There was temperatures here very high past couple days we had very summer-like temperatures, and that would normally be the reason you would see the black soldier flies sort of reactivating. I didn't bring any food out here, so I'll have to shoot inside to the refrigerator to get some stuff to eat for them. And our past few check-ins, I think the first check-in was after 1 week had lapsed since the previous feeding. The next time we waited 2 weeks between feedings, and now we had intentionally left a pretty good sized feeding in here for them in the hopes that we might be able to extend the interval to 3 or more weeks. And well, you know, we're now 1 day shy of going 4 weeks since we last checked in and fed these little guys, so it seemed appropriate to see how they're coming along, see how the foods they received last time are holding up. Certainly does seem like they've taken a pretty good bite out of what they were given here. Although some of the stuff they got still looks like it has hardly been touched. There's a lot of worms hanging out down here in this stuff. Look at them all. Alright, well, after we did that little upturn of the bed, I took a little break to go fetch a number of things. I went into the kitchen to get an assortment of different foods for them. It's really a hodgepodge of all kinds of stuff, and it's a good amount. And I also went over to the edge of the yard and I collected up a whole bunch of leaves, and I thought that would be kind of a nice boost for their bedding. And I already had this too. I bought a little container with a little bit of grit in there, a little bit of pulverized eggshell. So it did seem to me like we had a good little turnout in this feeding area. And some of the leftovers, well, you know, we weren't very thorough. I'd still like to get a little better sense of how things are doing in here, so I'm going to do a little bit more of a upturning of the environment to get a better look really quick. Before too, when I turned things over, I sort of skedaddled right away to go get the bedding and grab their food, so I didn't really hardly see what was going on. It did seem like we had a good number of worms. I wasn't sure about the moisture level of this system being, let's see, about 8 weeks old now, I think. I think we're somewhere in that 55 or 56 day old range. And after almost 4 weeks since we last fed, it was making me very curious how things in here were doing. I think this might be the stem of some grapes. It's just such a weird thing. There's all worms and castings in between it. So it's none of the stuff wants to flake out from in between the stems. But it feels to me like it's the stem of a grape. I wasn't sure, you know, it seemed to me like we might be at risk of the system drying out a little bit. So I was concerned about them having enough moisture, but I'm I'm very glad to see that the moisture in here is holding up really nicely. I'm not sure how we're going to sound here with this landscaper. Just showed up in the neighboring yard to cut the grass. He's operating his little trimmer now, gas-powered trimmer right along the fence line. I'm wondering if this might be another opportunity just to do a little worm spotting clip here and let the worms slither out of view while we await a little bit of quiet. Well, the guy with the weed whacker has gone to the other side of the house. I can still hear him, but he's not right on the fence line anymore like he was a moment ago. So hopefully he's not creating too much of a disturbance. I thought we might be able to get this feeding completed before he gets out the mower and starts making some real noise. And then we'll be wishing we'd taken care of this earlier. Oops, sounds like he's working on the fence line again. Oh, brother. Until he uses another worm spotting opportunity. All right, maybe one last time. But then I'm going to feed. All right, well, he's moved off into the distance, and I don't even hear the mower or the weed whacker anymore, so that might give us a few moments of quiet here. It almost seems like we could just drop the frozen food right down into here now, because the worms have all retreated because of the bright lights, but still I always feel a little bit better putting a little bit of bedding below an application of frozen foods, just to be kind, because it doesn't take a whole lot of extra effort. And then in can go today's portion. So what do we have here? Here's some citrus. It's the half of a grapefruit. Here's a banana peel, and there's just a whole wide array of other stuff in here, blending in now nicely with the surrounding materials. So it's a good thing that I've got more bedding to cover up with here. But you know what, let's also bring in this little care package I bought in from downstairs. It's just some pulverized eggshell that we're going to include with the feeding, and what a great opportunity. I could use it to also give my gloves a little bit of a cleaning. Keep all these nice castings, although they're kind of wet and sticky, keep them in the system, right? Rather than bringing them out unnecessarily. And that's going to be our feeding. Let's get the last of these leaves tossed in. Ooh, it's a pretty good amount. I thought about bringing in some of the surrounding castings to cover up with over here, because they're kind of all out here on the edges. Oh, we had some leftover foods over here too from the previous feeding. Let's see if I can just jam them down through this pile of leaves so that it's sort of in there with, oops, uh-oh. I think I hear the landscaper firing up his lawnmower. Oh yeah, there he goes. I don't know if you can still hear me, but I got a feeling we're kind of at the end of this video anyway. So before he really throttles up to start cutting, because right now he's just driving the thing over to the neighbor's lawn, but he's going to throttle that thing up momentarily and start making a lot of noise. So why don't we get this thing covered up, because we're done feeding. So before I go, and before it gets really noisy, let me just really quickly say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go, and if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.